Hey, all you tough mothers out there. I have an amazing guest today, Valarie Nussbaum, a wife, mother, U.S. Navy veteran, and now business owner. Her clothing boutique, Olivia Concealed Boutique, has curated clothing lines for women who want to conceal carry. She's made a one-stop shop, shopping for clothing, getting education for concealed carry, taking the guesswork out of new and learning women. Olivia or Olivia, Valarie, thank you so much for joining me. Can you tell me a little bit about like how you got into it and like what was the impetus to starting this boutique?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Natalie. I appreciate the time today. So it kind of it just started off an idea, as a mom and wanting to protect my kids. I have experience, like you mentioned. I was been in the Navy for um, many years ago now, it seems. But when I was in, I've been trained on firearms, and having that kind of training has got me into the world of shooting. But I didn't really think about my personal safety because of just my environment that I was in until I started really having children. And wanting to be able to protect myself and then protect them became something that was super important to me, just in my everyday life. So, what happened? Where did it come about? Well, my son, he's got special needs. My oldest son has special needs. And so every day I have to bring him to therapies and, bring him to school, things like that. But one place that we like to go is Starbucks. He's a huge fan of Starbucks. The kid can't get enough caffeine. But the Starbucks that we go to, we actually live in a really safe town. We live outside of Nashville, and there's
I
not a lot
love
of crime where
Nashville.
we
It's
live.
so sweet that like everyone's so nice there.
They are super nice. And it just so happened that this one Starbucks that we go to, it's in a parking or it's in a shopping complex, and this woman was actually assaulted in front of Bed Bath and Beyond. She was leaving Bed Bath and Beyond on like a Tuesday night, getting whatever, and some man came up and pulled her um, out of the car, assaulted her, and then carjacked her, stole her car, and apparently before that he had assaulted his mother, and so this guy was a bad dude, and this woman, just coming out of Bed Bath and Beyond, like in a place that I know, very well because I go to Starbucks every day, a couple 100 feet away from that Bed Bath and Beyond. So at that point, I figured, I really needed to do something to step up my game to protect myself and my kids. As a mom, you are so vulnerable when you're going in a parking lot. I have three small children. So, when your back is turned, and you have kids too, and you're putting your
Yeah.
son in the car, your back is turned, your hands are occupied with a toddler that likes to be stiff as a board. You're in it, right?
Like cat in a
And
boxing, like shoving him in the seat.
just get in there. So I felt that, I needed to be able to protect myself. I'm not a very big person. And if someone was to come up and, push me in my car or attack me or do something, I need to protect myself. And so that's kind of how this was born, out of a need of, well, let's protect myself. But when I started going to different shops, there wasn't anything for people like me. I'm not, I spent my time in camo. I like to I like to stay away from it now that I am a civilian at this point. So going for tactical pants, going for camo print, it's great for the range, but it's not great for every day. And I like to dress in other things than yoga pants. So I needed to find a place that would be able to work with the things I wear. And it just didn't exist. And I had zero time to go scour the internet because this is between time of COVID. Dressing rooms are closed. And well, what I don't like doing that anyway. That's kind of not my thing. So I wanted to be able to say, listen, if you want to conceal carry, where can you go that the outfits are already done? The outfits are trendy and they work with what your style is. Because my philosophy is you shouldn't have to compromise your style to conceal carry. And so that's how Olivia was born. I was I was always that girl at the range many years ago. I'd show up with my Louis Vuitton bag and my heels, and people are like, "What's this girl doing? She's so strange." So um, now that women are getting more into the sport, it's becoming more of a need to be able to dress who we are and conceal better, and have outfits that work for who we are. So
Yeah.
that's what we do.
I love that. So how do you procure the outfits? Like what's that whole process look like?
So it's actually a multi-step process. So one, I have to look at what's trending. We forecast, we figure out what is on trend that's going to be able to work for concealed carry, right? You know, Skin tight dresses aren't going to work. Or right now in fashion is the cutouts. So some outfits have cutouts on the belly, or some certain areas like that. That's just not going to work if you're conceal carrying in your mid
Right.
area. So we look at what's trendy, and then we also look at style and the fit. Especially for tops, you need to have a longer shirt. The shirt has to be flowy. The shirt has to be wide and flexible with its stretch. So we pick out certain outfits, we pick out certain shirts, and we test them. So we test for um, visibility. Can you see through it? We test for the function. Is it stretchy? Does it have a lot of imprinting? Is the fabric going to be too clingy? Can you move in the fabric? So we try it on. We try on the clothes. We go to the range and we just start moving. We start figuring out, can we hide? How can we move? One of the things we like to test is not just firearms. Not everyone wants to carry a firearm. So we like to be considerate of, maybe you want to hold mace, or maybe you want to hold a taser, or one of those tactical flashlights. So we try to do every kind of little scenario when we're testing it, and then we bring it out to market. So
that's really cool.
That's kind of our vetting process.
I like that. And so kind of what was that whole, I'm sure you're bringing that out into the market. There's a lot of women that are yes, thank you. This is amazing. Kind of what's the response that you guys have gotten? I'm sure people are super excited about it.
Everyone keeps saying, and it's interesting, it's not just women, it's a lot of men. And they're like, this is crazy. They're like, I would love my wife to be able to wear these clothes, because she's not that big into firearms, or maybe she's aware of it and she's not comfortable, or she just doesn't really like camo, and she's not a fan of those Barbie pink guns that are at Bass Pro Shops. So, they're trying to get their wives to be more safe when they're not around, or their significant others. So I'm getting a lot of response of, why has no one done this before? And it's a true question. Why has no one done this? Why are women left out? And we just get stuck with the weird purples and the weird pinks.
Yeah, it's funny, just getting into shooting myself about a couple of years ago, you go in for any kind of gear, and effectively it's just men's gear, smaller, and then they just make it pink. And I'm
or they just give us baggy shirts, which is great. I mean, for the range, it's great. But for me, I want to be able to say, hey, I'm going out to a nice brunch with my girlfriends at a nice restaurant. I can't wear a baggy shirt. I can't really wear shirts that say, Jim's gun shop. I mean, it's just not practical for every scenario, which is okay. Those things have their place and their time for them. But for what we do and what our target customer wants, they want an everyday outfit that they can throw on, they know is vetted, and they can go on and feel protected.
That's awesome. I love that. So if women want to check out your store, it's going to be oliviasconcealedcarry.com.
oliviaconcealed.com. I've made it kind of short, but not kind of short.
And then also on Instagram, you guys are Olivia Concealed Boutique, correct? And I'm going to have links and all that.
Yeah, just Olivia Concealed. You can always
I'm just
Google
throwing words in. I'm just.
It's okay. Yeah, it's pretty short, pretty simple, but Instagram would probably be the fastest way to look us up. Not just right now, our focus is clothes, but we want to really, part of our mission is to educate women and to tell them, hey, here are your options, and not just firearms. I'm a little bit biased because I do carry a firearm and I've been trained on them. However, not everyone wants to carry a firearm, and we want to just show them, hey, as a woman, you need to take your own protection into your own hands. And whether that's a firearm, whether that's pepper spray, mace, whatever, we're going to show you the tools. We're going to show you how to wear the tools, and we're going to show you what the purpose of those tools are for. I think it's really important right now to educate women. And so that's also a big focus of mine, is to be able to do not just clothing, but educating that way women know what their options are. So I don't know how did you first get into, getting into guns? What was your education like?
So just to dovetail off of what you were saying first is I love that. I love that it's not just firearms, because again, not every woman's comfortable with a firearm, and that's fine. But that means then what are their other options for protection, right? If a 200-pound man comes at 120, 150-pound woman, it's just an unequal playing field, and having lots of different options in self-defense is crucial. Especially now, people are just nutty. I feel like people are losing their minds at home, and they're they're just not mentally stable anymore.
People,
And
the interesting thing is that one of the reasons everyone asks me why just conceal? Why not just put it in a bag and make a line of bags? And for me, I have 3 small children, and to carry a bag, one, you have to protect that bag, right? If someone's going to come up and rob you, the first thing they're going to go after is your bag. So you can say, yeah, I don't care about the bag, but you also got to remember you have a firearm or a weapon in there that now you're arming a bad guy. So do you want to be guilty? You want to have that on your conscience that you've now armed a bad guy with your weapon, or he could use it again. He or she could use it against you. So I know I also think of the scenario, I'm putting my kids in the car. A bad guy's, I can't go up to him and say, hey, bad guy, can you hold on? I need to go in my big bag and like search around. I got to go through my keys to find my, mace, whatever. It's just not realistic. So I like to conceal carry. And that's, what these clothes are made for, is to be able to conceal carry, because you never know. You don't get to choose when bad things happen to you. You don't get to say, hey, not today, bad guy,
right. Yeah.
it ain't my day.
Time out.
Yeah. So, you have to be able to be prepared for everything. And so that's where the concealed portion came in. So being educated on that is important.
I love that. So to answer your question, I started shooting probably I moved to Arizona about 20 years ago from California.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like if you move to Arizona, it's really just a matter of time before somebody's like, oh, you live here now. Now you have to shoot guns. So at that time, I had a lot of friends who shot, and, nothing serious. I'd go out like once every blue moon and shoot a couple guns, and that was it. It wasn't until about 2 years ago where I needed something to de-stress my life. Yoga was just not cutting it. And I thought, you know what? Shooting is it's something that requires focus. So I can kind of like zen my mind out, because it requires like all of my mind, which is always spinning at 100 miles an hour on 20 different things. But I also have my son at home, and my husband doesn't shoot, and he's like, this is your thing, but be safe. So I wanted to take it seriously. And I reached out to a friend of mine and said, okay, who do I need to get in contact with so that I can really get some good training and be proficient and be safe? And so he pointed me in the general direction of Guardian Training and Consulting, Josh and Kim Logan, who are amazing, wonderful people. And they kind of got me up to speed into shooting, and I just really developed a huge passion for it. And I just started posting pictures and videos of just, me shooting. And all of these women started coming out of the woodwork like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Will you take me shooting? Or like, I'm scared to do it. And I was like, well, why don't I just make this world that I've discovered is not scary accessible to all these women, and show them all the amazing people within the community and all of the resources like Concealed Carry Boutique and like, all of these, or Olivia Boutique, but like Concealed Carry clothing lines and training and self-defense. Just make the community accessible and welcoming, because that's what I've found is the people here are they're awesome. They're so cool.
Yeah.
And encourage them to go out and protect themselves.
That's really cool. It's so cool that someone like you exists. And now that and I think there's a couple more people that are just out there being forefronters for women. Years ago, when I first started training, it was not like that. I actually, one of the times, and this was probably in my early, like mid-20s, and I'd already been trained on firearms since I was in the Navy. And we went to a range with my husband, and the guy, back then guys were very arrogant. They weren't like, there wasn't a lot of women shooters, especially like, if you can imagine, I'm showing up in my Louis Vuitton bag and they're like, I don't know about this girl. So the guy, like, I wanted to rent some kind of firearm, and I can't remember what it was, but it was some kind of 9mm gun. It looked pretty crazy, like a RoboCop type gun. But he told my husband, like, you're not going to help her. I need you to break this gun down and show me that you're proficient. I said, excuse me, what? Is this a requirement for all? I've never heard this. And so he was really arrogant. He was really cocky. And I'm like, I've never seen this gun in my life. Like, why don't you show me? I thought it was cool. I wanted to rent it. That's kind of what most people do. And so that was a lot of my experience, that men were very arrogant. Men didn't want women And I'm from the Northeast, so it could be very different in the South. But up in that area, it wasn't a welcoming type community, and so it turned me off for many years. And I would just stick to kind of skeet shooting and going to our gun range. But then when I started doing this, I don't know that there are many men like that now, which is great. However, I still feel like women are still intimidated. Even just to go to one of those big box chain stores, it's scary to go up to a man and say, "Hey, how do I do this?" Because you don't know what to ask. You don't know what
Right.
you don't know. And so it can be intimidating. And one of the things I wanted to do was, break down that mystification. Say, "Hey, here's what the world looks like in the realm of self-protection, right? You have these are your types of weapons that you could use. Here's why they're beneficial. You want to know more about firearms? Cool, let's go that route. If you don't, that's also cool, because I'm not here to judge you. Most women that I found are also not here to judge. They just want to help. We just want you to know that you have options and you don't need to be afraid of stepping out in the world that something bad's going to happen to you, because you're going to be prepared." It's sad that I keep hearing stories. I actually read an article, I think it was 3 weeks ago, with a woman in Philadelphia. She was raped on the train, and there were people in like on the
I,
same train as her.
I heard
And
about that.
like, how does that happen? How
And
does that
nobody did
keep happening?
anything.
Nobody did a single thing. And it wasn't until like the train had stopped and the employee was like, "Something's wrong." Like, and they called, like they talked to her, and she's like, "Yeah, this man raped me." Like, how does that still happen? You cannot depend on anybody else to protect you. You just can't, as much as, we want to be a good society. No one really is going to step to the plate. And there were people filming this. That's the sad part,
I know.
is
It's
that
like,
people were
oh,
filming
somebody's
it.
getting attacked. Instead of like helping her, they're like, I
Right.
mean, people are
So,
insane.
so I want to be able to create a world that women say, "Hey, you know, I'm going to be wearing my outfit that I wore to work, right? I'm going home from the train. What do I do?" Right? You can't. Maybe your bag isn't accessible, but let's talk about concealing. Let's have the conversation, so you know that you can prepare yourself and protect yourself. So
I love that. And so on your site, like, can women kind of interact with you and say, "Listen, like my everyday carry is like a P365 and I like to have an appendix carry or on my back, like what kind of outfits will work with that?" Can you like help them, or is that kind of like available like on your website?
So right now, I think the best way to do that and have that scenario would be Instagram, because it's just more quicker to have that dialogue. But right now, there's also a function with our outfits. You can, ask an expert. So you can say, "Hey, let me have the dialogue, like reach out. Let's talk specifically your scenario of your particular gun, your particular, I don't know, what is it, pepper spray? Because, there's pepper spray could be this big, or they'll have the pepper blasters. So they could be, the shape of a gun, or the tasers that are the shape of a minigun, or, there's so many different options. So let's talk
Right.
about it. So yes, that is a function that they can go in and click chat with an expert, and we'll, set up a call, and we'll walk you through it.
I really, that's awesome. That's such a good resource, because I think a lot of women like just they don't know, like they just don't know how to like carry or what's, comfortable. They want to have an everyday carry, but it's just not something that like, I mean, how do you practice that? You can go on the
Yeah.
range and you can do like draws and things like that, but like, how does it feel like to walk around, or like, what can I wear to like conceal this and not freak out every parent at like the PTO meeting or whatever?
Right. And then also, everyone's body is all different, right? So we try to find clothes that would fit a majority of people. That's why, we don't, all our clothes are loose. And this is probably one of our newest shirts. Like, everything we buy is with intention. So it's intentful that it's a looser fit, because I want to be able to move in it. I want to, well, one, conceal, right? But
Right.
if you need to run away, if I don't know, you run out of ammo, right? If you're just that bad of a shot, I don't know, you get nervous because you don't practice a lot, and you need to be able to then, hand to hand, right? You got to be able to move. You can't be in one of those real tailored jackets that you're like a robot. Some of those like really tight outfits that we try to squeeze ourselves into. So it's all about function, and even all of the accessories. Like, for instance, we have these necklaces, and one of the things you got to think about when you're dressing yourself is, can this be used against me, right? Can this necklace, it could become a strangulation. Like, someone could use it, but for ours, they break right off.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, so you can't use this as a weapon, right? You can
Right.
come up to me and attack me, and I will run away because my shoes are built a certain way to be able to run, or my clothes will be able to, allow me to conceal things. So everything we do is with intention. And we want to tell that to women, say, hey, think more consciously about what you're putting on your body. It doesn't have you don't have to sacrifice your style now anymore.
I love that. That is so amazing. I never even thought about that, but the fact that you guys have kind of gone through and just been so intentional about every single item is just, it's amazing. That's really cool. So I take it you shoot on a regular basis?
I do. Right now, I have my husband also shoots. So he was a Marine officer. And so I was also in the Navy. So that's kind of our thing. Are we go on like dates, like our little day dates to the range? But, I like shooting. Sometimes most of the days I carry a firearm, or sometimes I'll just, carry a knife. I'm carrying something. It kind of depends on where you're going, right? Like I have, safety is a big thing here in our house. So we have safes literally everywhere. I have a safe in my car. I have like 3 safes in my bedroom. I have a safe in my office. We have like 4 different safes on our first floor. I mean, they're kind of everywhere. So for us, we like shooting, but we also are very concerned about safety because we do have small children. And, we want to be able to teach that. Another thing we need to teach women is how to be safe with your firearm. So, but to answer your question, I like doing some skeet shooting. I love practice shooting. I don't know why. I can just sit at a range, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I'm like, oh, my grouping is not tight enough. New sheet. Let's do this again. My hands are
feel you on that one.
And my hand is fatiguing. My husband's like, do you want a break? I'm like, all right, finish this box. I'll take a break. You go. I'm getting new paper and we're going to go again. But for me, I just like knowing that I'm going to be effective kill, right? Like that's kind of what you do. If you're a long distance runner, right, you're going to train and you're going to make sure you can get the best time because that's your goal, right? Unless you just really want to leisurely do a marathon. But for the most part, you have a goal, and my goal is to be able to be an effective kill with one shot. So right now, I think I'm pretty good at it.
That's awesome. So what I hear you saying is do not sneak up on Valarie ever.
Do not. I probably, something's going to go in your face, whether that's a knife. Hopefully it's not a gun, but part of it is being situation aware. You got to just know your surrounding.
Yeah,
and know.
For sure. Yeah. It's
but
like that panicking. I think when you get caught off guard, and then they've done studies like on people that are, predators, and they kind of like scan for different women, and the women that kind of like are aware, that kind of have their head up, that aren't, in their phones or occupied, they kind of tend to go for easier targets. So like you said,
for sure,
awareness and all that is huge, just in deterring like those people from initially attacking you to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to prepare yourself for anything, and walking. You can't say you need to always have your head on a swivel. Realistically, it's not going to happen. But you need to be able to like prepare yourself and say, if something does happen, if I'm feeling that weird feeling, like you feel uncomfortable, know where your weapon is, know how to draw it, whatever that weapon is. You got to practice it, and being able to have a clothes that can conceal it, you'll be fine. Not a good target for me, that's for sure. I'm not a good target to go after.
I would agree. Awesome. So do you have any advice before we wrap it up to new women shooters out there that may be intimidated by the shooting world? Any wisdom you'd like to share from your personal or your military experience?
Yeah, I'd say first for all those newbies, because that's my target, is to help all those newbies, right? I'd say first you need to research your state. That is the number one. Research your state and know what your options are, right? I live in Tennessee, kind of like Arizona. You no longer need to have a license for concealed carry. You can just kind of go do it now. For us, you can have out the front knives. So, and you're allowed pepper spray. So in my state, it's more liberal with those things as opposed to California or New York, right? So every state is different. So I'd say research your state, figure out what your options are, then go on, try them all. Don't just say, oh, I'll never shoot a firearm, because you just don't know, right? kind of like trying a new food, try it first and then say you hate it. So try out your options and figure out what is your best fit, because what fits for me may not fit for somebody else as far as what your comfort level is. So I'd say try them all and figure out what you want to use to protect yourself. Then train, 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 and train, train. I mean, you can't train enough. And whether that is, dry fire in your home, or getting like a crappy pillow you don't like and stab the pillow, or, I wouldn't suggest going with pepper spray. I've had that unfortunate experience of spraying pepper spray and the backflow got me in the eyes. But I have also trained with that, because in the military you get sprayed purposely with the pepper spray and you have to learn to fight through it. So I've in multiple situations had pepper spray in my eye, and it's not fun.
Good to know. Yeah, I think I'll stay away from the pepper spray.
So I'd say train on everything, and then, don't be afraid and don't worry that you're going to compromise who you are and what your style is, because I'm here to help. So that would be my advice. Here to help, here to style you, stylish and dangerous. That's
I love that. Stylish and dangerous. You should make like a shirt, not a tight shirt, not a baggy shirt, but a beautiful
in between, kind of like the Goldilocks of shirts.
That I love that. Like, that's awesome. Valarie, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your journey on Olivia Boutique, I keep wanting to change your name. So frustrating. Oh, Olivia Concealed. I really appreciate that. And what you're doing is amazing for women, like just having that option of helping, right? Like there's not a lot of information out there yet. And we're kind of like the pioneers in like this new female arena of everyday moms carrying weapons and protecting themselves. And I just absolutely love that. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on here. And, we really do need to stick together and just help everyone that we can. One person touched is one life saved, right? One less victim.
Yeah. Thank you. So moms, get out there, check out Olivia Concealed on Instagram, reach out to Valarie with any questions that you have. Check out their amazing stuff. It's really cool. You can actually be feminine and pretty, but useful, and conceal carry, and, get out there, protect yourselves, and most importantly, be not afraid. Great job. You made it to the end. You are one tough mother. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to support the work that we do and keep the good lovin' coming, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're listening. What's that? You're one of those crazy mother followers that wants more of this nonsense? You got it. Subscribe to the Moms Love Guns YouTube channel, follow us at Moms Love Guns on Instagram, and join our free private Facebook group to connect with other women just like you in an encouraging and non-judgmental community. If you want to share even more love, share your new favorite community with a friend or all of your friends, maybe even a few enemies, just to be safe. Get out there, overcome your fears, be not afraid. You have got this.